Welcome to Speak the Truth. I am your facilitator, Gary Johnson. We are here every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And our special guest today is Deputy Postmaster General Ronald Stroman, retired. He retired on June 1st after the current postmaster came in. I won't even get into that. This is season 1, episode 10. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Stroman before we get started, because I am really looking forward to this topic, and I'm just going to open up the floor for you. During his 9 years at the U.S. Postal Service, Ronald Stroman led the government affairs and international mail issues for the Postal Service and worked with state and local officials to oversee the expansion of vote by mail. Prior to joining the Postal Service, Mr. Stroman served as the staff director for the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. In that role, he worked with lawmakers to develop several postal reform bills that often received bipartisan support but never made it out of Congress. Mr. Stroman also led the agency's work in a large and intergovernmental strategy, boy, say that 3 times, on electronic data for international packages and help law enforcement agencies detect shipments of illegal drugs. Mr. Stroman also spearheaded strategic outreach for elections and political mail divisions as the use of vote by mail has increased over the past 5 years. And that's one of the reasons that we have you on our show today. Mr. Stroman, I must tell you, I'm speaking for me. I lost confidence in the U.S. Postal Service, not necessarily in the dedicated men and women, but in the service infrastructure after I saw the current Postmaster General testify before Congress, several weeks ago. I lost confidence. I need to get the inside track. You are someone who's worked on the inside. You were the deputy. Please, this is probably the most important election in our lifetime. And I believe in our right to vote. I believe that there is a concerted effort to suppress that vote by this administration. And so I'm going to be quiet and open up the floodgates and let you have the stage to talk about the U.S. Postal Service, the dedicated men and women there, and the vote by mail effort, and anything else you want to talk about on this very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ronald Stroman.
So with regard to the mail question, let me say this. Having worked at the Postal Service for 9 years, having led the vote by mail initiative, I can tell you this. People have been voting by mail since the Civil War. And the Postal Service has been delivering mail and ballots since that time and continue to do it. Somewhere between 25 and 30% of the population of the employees of the Postal Service are African American. And I'm saying those brothers and sisters are out there every single day doing a great job delivering the mail. They're doing everything they can to make sure, because they believe in this. And I'm telling you, I've met with them, I've talked to them. You can see them now. People are trying to do the best that they can. That doesn't say mistakes aren't made, because we've all had mail that's gone to the wrong place. But when you look at how much mail we get on a regular basis, the protections that are in place, the new technology to track and trace, the ballots, all of this, I think, makes the mail, in my view, a very, very safe medium to cast your ballot. But again, I'm gonna come back to a couple of things. Unfortunately, what has happened is that the president has trashed the whole idea of vote by mail, right? He's saying it's illegitimate, can't do it, shouldn't do it, Postal Service can't deliver. And in my view, Harold, in part to try to get people not to vote, right? Not to get people not to vote. So I don't think we ought to fall for that. The other thing that has happened, however, is that you now have a new Postmaster General. And the new Postmaster General, and from North Carolina, down where you are, has had put in place certain procedures which ended up slowing the mail and backed the mail up. And he should never have done it. It was a mistake to do it. And certainly it was a mistake to do this right before an election. But a couple of things have happened since that time. There have been 7 federal district court cases which have enjoined the Postal Service from delaying the mail at this point. They have stopped those procedures and implemented an independent monitor to oversee the vote by mail effort. So now you've got not just the Postal Service, but you've got federal courts from the West Coast to the East Coast, enjoining those things, having an independent monitor. And I think right now, things are moving pretty well. Things are in place, checks are in place, monitors are in place. They have monitors in all of the plants now who are looking at vote by mail. But here's what I do say. No matter all of that is in place, you have to vote early in order to ensure that ballot gets counted. So here's what I'm saying to people who are on this call. If you intend to vote by mail, and I voted by mail, I voted weeks ago in DC by mail. And that's another indication that I think is safe. You need to get that ballot in the mail by next Saturday. You got about a week, a little bit more than a week, next Saturday, next Sunday, to get your ballot in to ensure it counts. After that, then you're starting to run into stuff that can happen, right? Delays that can happen, mistakes that get made, and there's not enough time to correct it. So what we've seen, Harold, is during the course of the primary season, in the early part of the voting, you've seen a lot of some mistakes that have been made in different states. Ballots sent to the wrong place, going to the wrong address, but there's been enough time to correct those mistakes and get them where they need to go. Once you get past Saturday, then you're running up against, election day. And so you don't have enough time if there are mistakes. So my advice to everybody is, if you're going to vote by mail, put that thing in the mail by next Saturday, Sunday at the latest, and it'll be picked up on Monday. So get that thing in the mail. If for whatever reason you can't get it in the mail, you can't fill it out by next week, you forgot, can't find, you got to get a new ballot, then my suggestion is, for those locations, if you have a drop box, then you take that ballot, you wait till the line gets low so you don't have to wait online, and you take that ballot and you stick it in a drop box, right? That way you're not exposing yourself to long lines of people and the coronavirus. So my second suggestion is to put that thing, find a drop box, an official drop box, because some people have these phony drop boxes, so you got to be careful. Put it in a drop box. And then the third option is, if that doesn't work and you have to go and vote at the polls, and people getting there early, take precautions. You got to have a mask, you got to socially distant, if you have hand sanitizers, bring that hand sanitizer with you. Make sure, you're not touching your face. Put that hand sanitizer on, and just try to be as safe as you can standing in line. But to circle back, man, to your big early question, mail, I believe, is certainly a safe medium in view of everything that's going on. You got to get that ballot in there early. And if you do, I feel confident that that ballot's going to be counted.
This has been, actually, your comments have been quite reassuring to me. I had a low bar. Especially everything I've been reading about this new Postmaster General.
Right.
So I'm reassured. All of our shows have been good. This might be the most important show, as I'm sitting here thinking that we definitely have to get this one out and make sure that people understand what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, people have legitimate reasons to be concerned in view of everything they've seen, Gary. There's absolutely no question about that. And, you know, I think people have also seen these voter suppression tactics that are happening all across the country, where they're limiting the ability to drop mail in drop boxes, right? They're cutting back on that. They're reducing places where you can vote. You know, all of these things are not happening by mistake. They're happening by design. So I get people's concern. And then you have a new Postmaster General who's a Trump supporter, who's a Trump fundraiser, and people are saying, well, it's sabotage. People are trying to sabotage the mail. So I get that. But I am saying having somebody who watches this very, very carefully, who knows the people in the Postal Service, who have seen the court orders, have seen the judges who are saying, no, 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 this is how it's going to go down, and stop these things from going forward. I feel very confident that your ballot, if you get it in the mail on time, is going to be counted and is a safe medium. And particularly, as I said, you know, with this COVID-19, we really got to be careful, man. We really have to be careful. So I hear you, Gary.
Mr. Stroman, I can't thank you enough. I'm very serious when I tell you right now, my confidence has been restored in the system. It has been restored in the system. I actually voted yesterday, and I walked into the post office. I handed my ballot to a supervisor. He scanned it and put it in the box. Having heard what you said, I feel a lot better. Thank you very much. I'm going to share this information with everyone that I can, using all of my social media platforms and the platforms of my company. On behalf of Harold Bell and Hattie Bell and all of our guests here, thank you very much for being our guest on Speak the Truth. I'm Gary Johnson. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bell to take us out the way he always does. Over to you, Mr. B.
For every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. Until next time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.
Be safe, everybody.